The pitch. Day 3. Pitch 3.
You know, at the start of our show, when founders walk in the room and present their pitch? Well, behind the scenes, I work with each of them to craft the perfect pitch. Today's founders have built AI software to replace me, the pitch coach. But when one pitches a pitch product to a room full of pitch experts, which, yes, is as hard as it sounds, a question arises. What's more important to investors, the pitch itself or everything else? The back and forth, the Q&A, the human connection part. Because sure, AI can craft the perfect pitch, but can it actually close a deal? I'm Josh Muccio. Welcome to The Pitch, where real AI pitches real investors for real money.
I'm Neil Salas Griffin, Managing Director here at Techstar Chicago, and I'm happy to welcome y'all to my city.
I'm Elizabeth Yin, and I'm a General Partner at Hustle Fund.
I'm Charles Hudson, Managing Partner, Precursor Ventures.
I'm Jillian Manis, Managing Partner of Structure Capital.
I'm Key McConnell II. Most people call me Mac, and if you follow me on Twitter, it's Mac the VC.
The pitch for Brevity is coming up right after this. The information provided on this show is not intended to be investment advice and should not be relied upon as such. The investors on today's episode are providing their opinions based on their own assessment of the business presented. Those opinions should not be considered professional investment advice.
How are
It's
you?
going.
Kelvin. Hey, Charles. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure. Max.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Nice
Pleasure to meet you.
Mac.
How you doing, Max? Kelvin.
Nice
Nice
to
to
meet
meet you.
Good to see you, brother. How you been?
How you doing, brother? Max.
Let's hear it.
Let's do it. Hi, my name is Kelvin Johnson.
And my name is Max Huck, and we are the co-founders of Brevity, an AI-powered software helping professionals craft and deliver persuasive pitches and presentations that sell. Now, in 60 seconds, people typically form an entire opinion about you, your business, and your brand, meaning your pitch must be clear, concise, and compelling. Because if not, you'll miss opportunities and be overlooked. But what we find greater pain in is being misunderstood.
And this is why we started Brevity. We are enabling people and institutions worldwide to be clearly understood. Now, the best way to illustrate how our product works is to tell you the story about Jai Winston, the director at a premier professional development organization, the Knight Foundation. And his goal is to spur economic development in St. Paul, Minnesota. But he was missing the bandwidth, system, and expertise to help organizations hone and perfect their pitch until he started working with Brevity. So when these professionals log in, they're able to select from pitch script frameworks from sales, fundraising, interviewing, and beyond. And then next, in a TurboTax-like fashion, they're able to create their pitch script with step-by-step guidance, examples, and our timing logic to stay on pace. From there, our pitch intelligence identifies and refines suboptimal pitch language, improving their story, content, and messaging. And as a result of going through our software, organizations have raised millions in capital, closed notable deals with Fortune 50 companies like a Target, and we've had over 30 first-place pitch competition winners. Now, we are here today extending our pre-seed funding round, raising $500 at an $8 million cap via Safe Note. Now, this relationship with Max and I goes back to 3 years old, playing sports, learning the value of discipline, grit, and radical self-belief. And now we believe it's going to become a common phrase to hear worldwide.
Are you pitching with Brevity?
Good job.
All right. Did you use your own product to construct this pitch?
Without a question, we
absolutely.
can show you right on this.
Yeah,
Okay.
This pitch scored a 90 in our pitch intelligence. Absolutely.
Okay.
Good pitch. Sounds like interesting product. Sounds like you've had some traction. But how do you make money, or how much money have you made to date?
Yeah, so with our beta product, we were able to get a total of $75,000. Yesterday, we launched our commercially viable product.
So how much are you charging for that?
So $39.99 per user on an annualized basis in the three main categories: college, universities, MBA programs, professional development organizations, then startup accelerators and incubators.
Can you talk about how pitch intelligence works?
Yeah, so there's 4 buying personalities from structured, bold, caring, and intellect. So when you enter our software, you have to pick the most dominant personality type of the audience you're looking to influence. And then that sets the stage for how the AI scores and provides different recommendations for your story, content, and message.
Is the experience like a Grammarly type experience
Correct.
where I type some things and it says, hey, tones off, or say it this way?
So the AI will identify suboptimal pitch language according to that audience type. We're leveraging more or less in-house proprietary techniques as well as some open source.
So one question that I have is around, just broadly speaking, what makes for a compelling pitch. I hear what you're saying about how you can really improve somebody's technical pitch, make it sound really good. But I think as someone who has pitched thousands of people, a much bigger part, I feel, is around messaging in the right way to the right person.
Yes.
And every pitch can be tailored slightly differently to cater more towards a particular person. So how do you think about that?
The first step of the process is choosing the buying personality type of the audience you're trying to persuade.
I find that to be a problem.
Okay.
Like, how do you actually categorize that? Because there are many different types of audiences and there are many nuances.
Yep.
So to me, a lot of a pitch is also to understand your audience in real time.
Yeah, so I don't think this is like a black or white thing. It's more or less doing your homework and just trying to understand what type of sentiment your audience would most like have to the language you're.
How do you know that? How do you know the sentiment?
You can do your research on what college they went
So
to,
what's
what
the
organizations.
sentiment here? Where do we?
We actually tailor this pitch to an intellectual audience.
Okay, well, that makes one of us.
So I love how you're stroking our ego, by the way. Thank you for calling us intellectual. But I think, to Jillian's point, even let's just take this room, for example. Even though we're all investors and all investors at the same stage, we have all had very different experiences in pitching different kinds of people or receiving different kinds of pitches, and that has shaped our beliefs about what should go into a pitch and all of that. And I think it is even really challenging to even, let's say, pitch this pitch in the most optimal way to 5 people who generally have the same archetype.
Just to bring it a little broader view, like just the inspiration behind Brevity is really 4 main books of literature that's important to highlight. So you have The 3-Minute Rule by Brant Pivotich. You have Why They Buy, which kind of encompasses that buying personality science. You have Made to Stick, where Dan and Chip Heath did a great job of extracting out the most sticky, compelling messages. So we really...
Was that your question? I just want to be clear.
That wasn't the question.
Did you get your question out?
Well, we could finish your question about the compelling aspect, but
I think it's like, how do you get the right angle on the messaging?
To make it compelling.
With such a variety of
with a variety of people.
Right.
So we all have a strong anchor to like either bold and then intellect comes next. Really, it's about the story arc, and that's what I wanted you to speak to.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so Dan and Chip Heath did a great job of coming up with this framework called success. Simple, unexpected, concrete, credible, emotion story. So what we've done is we extracted out those frameworks so you're getting that step-by-step guidance regardless of the pitch type you choose. So whether that's selling yourself, whether that's, asking for a raise or a promotion, whether that's a pre-seed pitch, whether that's a seed pitch, we've amassed over 100 different frameworks where people need to influence.
Y'all struggling because you're pitching us on the tool for pitching. When everybody up here, it's basically like pitch consultants. Like, this is what we do. So like that's the difficult part. I think when they're trying to say it's not black and white, what they're building is a supplemental tool. It's not a tool that's going to build your pitch from the ground up. It's a tool that supplements, that helps you pitch. Like to the Grammarly example, you write your whole report and then Grammarly tells you, these are all the mistakes you made. They're just trying to help you.
Interestingly enough, though,
we do build
differently.
It.
We build it from the ground up.
Yeah, I thought it was from
so we
building
do
it from
both.
the ground
We do both.
up.
So we do have a portion of the platform, which is the first one you'll walk through, where we do help you build it from the ground up with directives and examples. It's supposed to be supplemental as well.
In a surprise to absolutely no one, the investors on the pitch are very passionate about pitching. But after the break, we move on to who Kelvin and Max are selling Brevity to. And the answer might come with a jump scare. Welcome back. Before the break, the investors got a little carried away with the buying personalities. Clearly, they don't want to be put in a box. They contain multitudes. But now, these one-of-a-kind, uncategorizable investors are ready to move on to the customer.
How do you think about the market? Because I think, as someone who previously worked at an accelerator, budgets are pretty tight.
are.
And I realize the price point is affordable, but like, how do you kind of make that really compelling for these organizations?
I would say startup accelerators, out of the 3 customer segments that we mentioned, they're on the latter part.
Okay.
Our goal is the universities. Every student needs to be able to communicate, present, and influence with brevity.
You just scared me the moment you said universities.
I agree.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
The sales cycles
universities
at universities
are
are rough.
not any better.
We know we scare you, but we fundamentally know this is an educational tool.
Do you have a university as a customer today?
Yeah, so we're going to be onboarding University of Minnesota this year.
What does it take to onboard a university? When I think universities, I also cringe because I feel like, gosh, they're so high touch and your price point is only, $40 a month.
Yeah, the sales cycle is going to be longer with the university, right? But, just another vertical that is right below the university or right next to it, more or less, is professional development organizations. That sales cycle isn't as long.
Correct.
Once you dive into the platform, it's really academic in nature, educational in nature, to help you persuade a target audience. And what you'll find is, I never got that acumen undergrad.
Yep.
I never even got that acumen in my MBA. We had a ton of classes and courses, but they never taught me how to do my elevator pitch.
But look, I agree with you, right? And you're right. But that's not our concern. Us as investors, like, we've invested in ed tech companies, and one of the biggest failure points in ed tech companies is that sales cycles are so long that they don't get to a point of viability before they run out of cash.
Yeah.
So the moment we hear universities, like, that's a
It's just one vertical.
It's one of 3
One
verticals.
Said it was your
Right.
top vertical, though.
It's not. It's not. No.
Okay.
I would just
It's
say
not. We get that.
this
I
is
heard
fair feedback.
accelerators as the last, and I
I'm
heard
just giving
universities
universities
as
as
the
the
first.
I'm not trying to kill
But I
you. I'm
think
just
that's
trying to
the
give
biggest
feedback.
money
I got
maker
you.
is the universities once we can crack it.
Okay. So help me understand the end game. So if you're like number one, but the hardest one to convert is the universities, what are we playing towards, in the future?
Yeah, so enterprise sale, the other part. So we do have another bucket. It's people that have raised Series A, Series B capital that are looking to optimize sales training, onboarding, metrics like new hire ramp up, time to productivity, and sales velocity. So there are a few of those in the pipeline as well.
Wouldn't that be your sweet spot? I see this more towards a tool for sales than I see it for universities.
The part I'm struggling with is this. I can see why with this people can win pitch competitions. It's like, I need to come up with a 2-minute pitch that's really compelling to a broad audience. Great. But with sales, it's more dynamic. I'm not going in and talking at somebody for 5 minutes and that's that.
Right.
We're having back and forth conversation.
Qualify hard to close easy. Yep.
And so does this tool help with that?
Well, it does help with
Or
that
can
as
it?
well, because it sets the stage for a more intimate conversation. If I give you my 2-minute pitch or my 3-minute pitch and you're not interested, you're most likely going to walk away from me.
Right.
Yep.
So this
Right.
really sets the stage, again, for that longer form discussion.
So I was a seed stage investor in DocSend, which different positioning, but like one of the big unlocks for them was you could actually tell that using DocSend helped you raise money. Like you actually got the analytics back, and they got the analytics back at a macro level about what slides people were paying attention. So they had a ton of data. My question is, how do you know this works?
Yes.
In a pitch competition, you have a very short feedback cycle, and it's very easy to collect that data. But in some of these other contexts, like how do you capture data to know that like I asked for the raise and I got it?
The model is being trained by best-in-class pitches, right? And we can scrape this data from PitchBook,
Crunchbase.
Gus, things
But
that...
best in class, just to be clear, is based on your experts grading and saying this sounds compelling.
No. Based on their
That's
rounds of
feedback.
funding. Like,
That's
yeah,
one
all the
data point
metrics.
that's one data point we scrape is, did they get funding or not?
Well, I
does
think
that
I
level
think
set?
my
Big companies get funded with terrible pitches all
I
the
think
time.
my challenge is I fund so many companies with terrible pitches that it's actually only partly the pitch, but also the actual idea and the messaging, again, catered towards the right investor is what matters more.
Again, just one data point that's more or less in the mix of all the other data points. But yeah, again, whether or not it's a successful company.
Like economic impact. Are you getting jobs? Are you raising capital? Are you increasing your sales velocity? And that's what we did with our beta product. Is our tool was a direct correlation from using Brevity and people being clearly understood and getting capital.
I can understand that, but I think where I'm landing on this is ultimately a pitch is not just about the most optimal structure. I think the angle and the messaging you go in with is very personal, and you don't know that until you actually meet with the person and you discover more information in the conversation along the way. So it's quite dynamic.
Yep.
So maybe this can get you in the door, but I feel like to close is so much more. And
we agree.
I think
We agree. Our mission statement is making your best first impression.
And then I think my last thought is if you can't kind of close most of that way, I wonder what sort of strong value people get out of this to stay retained over time. And so as such, I'm going to be out.
I was going to say, like, Kelvin, you have really great presence. And like, if I could bottle you and
Yes.
write software that was
Yes.
Kelvin, you could sell anything. And I think where I got stuck was in a different area, which is I've been spending a lot of time with sort of these next generation tools that are very, very good at generating content with prompts. And I think the rate of improvement of those tools is going to make the sort of scaffolding first draft deck generation process relatively commoditized from a language standpoint. I just have a hard time connecting the dots between the value that you create by giving someone this awesome pitch and sort of seeing it all the way through to close. So I'm out, but I think I see why you were working on this business, and that's always something I look for in a pitch.
So, couple questions here, right? You're raising $500K on $8 million safe note.
Correct.
Okay. How much of that have you raised to date?
Year to date, since we started this company, we've raised 1.3. So we got 4 institutional investors: Right Side Capital, Seraph Group, Brown Venture Group is most recent, and then Bronze Valley out of Alabama.
Cool. I would say I'm interested in you. I'm a little concerned because even your pitch to us today missed some notes, but it wasn't really the pitch. Like your initial 90 seconds, you killed that. It was the follow-up, which I think gets to Charles's point. Like, yeah, you might be able to get the interest, but the post pitch is where the data comes from. That's what people are like. Yeah, you're helping people make the great first impression, but they're going to pay for this because they're looking for the close, right? And so, right now I'm out, but could be something interesting in the future.
Cool.
Awesome.
This is a very compelling topic for me. I have been teaching people how to pitch for, I could say many, many decades, but I'm not going to tell you how many. For a long time. And this is one of my biggest peeves, is that nobody does a really succinct, compelling pitch. I know I see companies fold because they can't pitch. So every part of me wants to come in and invest in this company.
I think you can help us.
The problem is that I'm still really grappling with the revenue. Really, who is your market? To me, I see it as sales. To you, you see it as universities and accelerators. I've seen enough university boards that I know that is just one dead end after another. So I'm not going to go in, but you have tremendous, superpowers.
So for me, I'm still interested, Calvin, in supporting you and finding a way to get you involved, maybe in the Techstars network in some way. That being said, just a little bit of feedback. One thing when it comes to persuasion and pitching and sales is listening. And I think there were some moments in this conversation where we were at odds. We were all trying to talk over each other and engage. And I think for you all, you have an opportunity here to really understand what each of us here value and what we're trying to, suss out of the situation. And I think at times there were these moments where you wanted to jump in and you already thought you knew where it was going, but not quite. I wasn't even sure where they were going. And I think you all have an opportunity to kind of really level up. So right now I'm officially out. However, I see a lot of opportunity to potentially become your customer, learn more about you, and also potentially become your investor. But let's take that follow-up and go from there.
Appreciate it. I love your help. I mean, I'm a huge fan of this show. I've listened to all 100 episodes, so I'm just honored to be here.
God
And
bless.
thank you guys for your...
I haven't even listened to all of
I mean, talk about training the AI. Like,
Yeah.
that's just,
Absolutely.
we
I
have
think you guys are both rock stars. Hand to God.
No, it's an
Really.
absolute pleasure to honestly be able to get your guys' insights, feedback. This was an absolute joy. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
You got
Thank
your juice,
you.
fellas.
Thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
Nicely done, fellas.
Neil, I think you like nailed it. There were a bunch of times I was like, you're not listening
Yeah.
to what's
Yeah.
going on in our heads.
Yeah.
And you're like trying to like bulldoze through. And I feel like for a company that's in the pitch business, that was such
Yeah.
good feedback for them because like, I kept thinking about what Elizabeth was saying. Like, it's not just the delivery, it's the ability to read what's happening in the room and adjust
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Right. I agree completely. And it was almost like I'm putting myself in their shoes. I wanted to know, as them, hearing you all ask questions, what you were getting at.
Yeah.
So at the very least, I should restate what I heard.
Yeah.
Go, do I have this right? And
Yeah.
then let me make sure I fully answer it.
Yeah.
I do think they're in a more challenging position in pitching a pitch product to people who listen to pitches.
Yes.
Like in some sense, the bar is higher, just almost because we are
This is
in
what we
the
do.
pitch
But
business.
You would have.
And that was the thing that was getting me was like, you're building something for pitching, but I think they're marketing and talking about their product wrong. Because like, I think the issue is they were stuck with where they started.
Yeah,
Right.
When he
I
first
agree.
started, they started
Yes.
with this as a pitch thing, helping with pitch competitions. They found all these other use cases, and now they're trying to figure out how to blend it. But
Yeah.
like, if you're making something to help message, and you still haven't got your message,
Right.
There's
like
also
that was hurting my heart.
So if I were to surmise this pitch, excellent opener, but in order for you to have come to a commitment today, you needed to see either a better Q&A, a better business model where they've already figured out where they're actually going to make the money, or some humility and flexibility from these founders to feel like they're going to take
I think
the
it's all
feedback.
three.
coachability is key.
Coachability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you're building sales tech, you have to be a good salesperson.
Yeah.
And if you're building a pitch product, you have
Yeah.
to be able to manage a pitch.
When we come back, we find out what happened when Kelvin and Max went to sell to universities. Welcome back. Our investors were terrified by Brevity's target market, universities and accelerators. But Kelvin and Max felt like that's where the big opportunity was. A few months later, I caught up with Kelvin. Before you came on the show, I know you'd already raised $1.3 million. And then you came on the show, you were pitching another $500,000 kind of seed extension. How has fundraising gone since then?
We ended up getting a $500,000 investment from Lightship Capital
Oh, that's awesome.
with Brian and Candace. Yup.
Yeah, I know those guys.
So they've been dynamite so that we now have 5 institutional investors. The team is in really, really great shape.
So how did it go when you went to sell to universities?
We closed a good amount, but it wasn't at the velocity that we anticipated. So the big changes, besides just getting fundraising, is we've now launched a product called Brevity Roleplay. Basically, we help train sales teams by role-playing in real time with AI-based prospects.
So you guys have totally pivoted from selling to universities and accelerators to selling sales teams.
Correct.
How did that shift happen? Was it with conversations with other investors? Like, was there one particular conversation with a potential customer where you were like, light bulb, like this is where we need to focus?
So I'm on the phone, Zoom call with a demand generation firm, and we're doing this whole like song and pony, this whole show about like how their product can help. And I asked one question on this call that kind of unlocked this Brevity role play opportunity. And that question was, what's missing in our current state software that would dramatically improve the training and development of your sales development reps? And then that's when that prospect cracked and said, well, every Monday we have company-wide objection handling training. And there's a wide variance in our reps' ability to, get up to sellable product knowledge and then also just master objection handling. So me and my co-founder are looking at each other, we're probing, tell me more.
Yeah.
And basically reps aren't getting enough practice before go live. And then we looked at each other like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? We had an aha moment.
Yeah.
We immediately called our CTO and said, how feasible is this? And within, a 6-week time period, we whipped up an MVP version of Brevity Roleplay.
How does that sound? Like, I sit down in front of your product Roleplay and I just start pitching it and it responds back?
Yep. So let me give you the use case. It'll be like, you go into the software, you click play. Hey, this is Kelvin from Brevity. How have you been? Kelvin who? Why the hell are you calling me? So it gives you those, yes. So like Alexa, but like sounding super real. We have 14 different voice personas in the software because in sales and in the investment journey, sometimes you run into assholes. So why not get better prepared to pitch and overcome objections with an asshole before go live? And that's exactly, so we're basically impacting new hire ramp up, time to productivity, and ultimately sales velocity with scaling sales teams.
Yeah.
That's been our new product and our new market.
Kelvin, you've raised all this money, $1.8 million now. You've got your first customers. Brevity is a real thing. How does it feel?
It feels great. Obviously, there's some lessons learned along the way, but I'm just blessed to have Max and I have known each other since 3 years old.
Yeah.
So just being able to do this with a childhood friend, I'm on cloud 9 right now, to be honest with you. And I think we're actually solving a real need when it comes to, training and preparation.
Do you want to do the, are you pitching with Brevity line, but try to say it in unison, me and you?
Let's do it. So I'll do the opening part. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And we believe it's going to become a common phrase to hear worldwide. Are you pitching with Brevity?
Season 9 of The Pitch was a kackin' success. Truly one for the record books. We did it, y'all. We bought our show back, relaunched it independently, and just had our first profitable quarter. Thank you for listening to the show. And if you haven't already, turn on notifications for The Pitch. You don't want to miss our next season, season 10, in the fall. It's going to be our best season yet. We just picked our finalists for season 10. They'll be pitching the investors here in a couple weeks. They finna be in the pitch. That was so hard, Anna Lad. Oh. We're coming back in the fall, but actually, we're going to be dropping episodes over the summer to Pitch Plus subscribers. So if you've been waiting all this time to support the show and become a Pitch Plus member, now's your chance. Subscribe to Pitch Plus. You'll get ad-free listening to our entire catalog and the new bonus episodes that we're going to drop. Just go to pitch.show/plus to learn more. The Pitch is me, Josh Mucho, Lisa Mucho, Carrie Ann Thomas, Anna Ladd, and Enoch Kim. Did you see how I did that? I'm just switching so naturally between those two voices. Music in today's show is from The Musemaker, Breakmaster Cylinder, Boxwood Orchestra, New Body Electric, Joey Cantor, and Anders. The Pitch is made in partnership with the Vox Media Podcast Network. The Pitch Inc. and their respective employees and affiliates do not provide investment advice or make investment recommendations. The information provided on this show should not be used as the basis for making investment decisions. Listeners should conduct their own research and consult with their own investment advisors before making any investment decisions.